Let's be blunt. If you're a man and you clicked on this video, you're in for a rough awakening. But I'll tell you this much. I'm going to enjoy it, because after watching, your life won't be the same. I'm about to lay out your past, present, and give you just two options for the future. The choice, my friend, is yours. Have you noticed that with each passing year, the chasm of success among men in the dating world only widens? It's becoming increasingly clear that men are falling into two distinct groups. On one side, you have those who have nothing, no likes, no attention, constantly rejected and dismissed. On the other, you have men that others fight over, compete for, and even brawl to be near. This divide will only grow. Only the strongest will survive. Throughout my career, I've come to understand one crucial thing. It's surprisingly easy to predict a man's future in relationships, whether it's destined for endless disappointment or the chance to find joy and build a happy family. All you need to look at is one quality, the ability to make quick decisions. Consider the typical life trajectory. By 30-35, most men have had around 5 significant relationships, and a few more short-term flings where they either lost interest, walked away, or simply ghosted. We tend to think this is normal, that everyone lives this way, but that's a huge misconception. In reality, from adolescence, boys are often less competitive than girls in the dating arena. Girls often look for older partners. This creates a learned helplessness in men from a young age, leading us to constantly suppress our desires. Let's break this down using your most positive relationship, the one where she left you. Remember how the signals started appearing, how her interest began to wane? The first conflict marked the beginning of the end of attraction. This typically plays out over about 6 months, right? That's 180 days. For 180 days, you were unable to make the decision to leave first. Believe me, if you had done so immediately, not only would her feelings for you likely have returned, she wouldn't have left, and you would have suffered absolutely no damage. Now let me present 2 columns. On one side, we have the classic scenario of the modern man's life. On the other, the man who masters quick decision-making. The man in the first scenario has already wasted 180 days of his life. During this time, he missed a ton of opportunities. Let's imagine he signed up for a dating app. Even if you live in a small town, not a big city, you'll still get at least 5 conversations a day. That's 35 a week, over 100 a month. In 6 months, that's 600 conversations. Can you imagine the sheer volume of choice? The opportunities that open up? You get to choose what truly resonates with you. What happens next? The indecisive man doesn't leave. Why? Because inaction feels safe. I didn't make any drastic moves. I didn't ghost her. Why bother? What if she doesn't come back? I'll just do nothing. Unfortunately, that's how humans are wired. It's like having a decaying tooth. The fear of the dentist makes it easier to simply not think about it. We know it needs to be done, we know it won't heal itself, and will only get worse. But today, we'll ignore the problem, even though we know how it will end. Next stage, point 2. What does the indecisive man get in the end? After enduring for 180 days, his value steadily declined. She left him. He's shattered, feeling inadequate as a man. If you think a woman showing disinterest or contempt won't affect you, you're wrong. It absolutely will. So even after she's gone, that's just the beginning of the suffering. He's too broken to go out and meet new people. He'll either wallow in misery over her, or simply lick his wounds. What happens if a man who makes swift decisions starts dating? Instead of suffering, he's had 600 conversations and dates. Opportunities have opened up for him, and he's gaining experience and refining his communication skills. So, men often come to me when everything is already broken. The tooth is rotten, it can only be extracted, it will hurt, and we'll deal with the complications. The woman won't come back. But if he hadn't ignored the problem every single day for 180 days, every single minute, a simple filling would have probably solved everything. When we do the same thing repeatedly, we get better and better at it without even thinking about why. You get your driver's license, drive around, and gain experience, becoming a more skilled driver. That's effectiveness. The same in the gym. You do exercises, and gradually you feel your muscles better. But the mechanism for achieving results in relationships with women is completely different. It doesn't work that way. You have to assert your right to better. I emphasize assert because society will judge you as everyone else lives differently. You'll encounter many stories and interactions where you get messages like, "Stop, don't you want a woman to have friends? You refused? You want a domestic woman who takes care of you, cooks for you, and looks after you? You'll have to give up everything else." Sounds easy, right? No, my friend, it seems easy to take the path of least resistance. Scenario number 1. And what happens next? The man gets stuck in the same cycle, falls in love, starts a relationship, suppresses his desires, it ends badly, he licks his wounds, and goes back to do the same thing. Such a man's dating pool is actually very small. He lacks ambition. But a man, in terms of his personal life, should be maximally ambitious about the kind of treatment he truly deserves. But that's not the end. The worst is yet to come. These columns need to continue, because then the man who makes quick, timely decisions only meets women who invest in him and care for him. He gets used to this position. He learns to operate from a position of strength. He doesn't need to artificially manage the balance of value. He's accustomed to matching his position. And he meets, this is where the magic happens, even a problematic woman who never did anything for her exes, but she'll cook him Olivier salad and pastries. If you ask her, "Hey, why are you doing this? You never did this before," she'll say, "I just want to." She can't explain it. She simply understands and feels he deserves it. This other character, he doesn't. He'll be told he's not a man if he just wastes time. In scenario number 1, a man at the end of a series of such relationships is simply empty. He doesn't feel worthy of anything in this life. He is extremely dependent on women's opinions. He has a rational desire to please every woman. They sense this, and therefore he lacks attractiveness. He tries to compensate with attributes of success. It could be, I don't know, a phone, clothes, a car, money. This only confirms his insecurity, but it doesn't actually help. Do you know what happens? Even worse, women will start to notice him, but only as a resource to be used and then discarded. And so, in the end, we get the most terrible outcome. There comes a point when our perceptions of reality, our worldview, become cemented, and it becomes extremely difficult to change them. When a man is capable of making quick decisions, he accumulates experience that leaves no room for doubt. In any situation, even an emergency, he acts decisively and promptly. When we talk about any romantic drama, the damage a man receives isn't actually from the act of breaking up, divorce, or separation itself. All that pain, all those severe consequences, are due to the duration of the man's inaction. The longer he was inactive, the more he resisted making decisions and simply went with the flow, trying to talk things out or whatever men usually do, the more damage he will suffer in the end. A man who makes quick decisions is invulnerable, no matter what happens in his life. But a man who thinks inaction is safe gets caught in a vicious cycle. So, we end up with a situation. Imagine a long, long corridor stretching to the horizon, with many doors. The man following the first path only opened the first 5, 6, or 10, and he bases his understanding, he can't do otherwise, on what he saw. And we know what he saw, I just explained. Nothing good. He will definitely say that it can't be any other way. He forms very vague ideas about what is right and what should be. Therefore, you will be in mediocre relationships that have a high probability of ending. And the most terrifying thing in the first scenario is that over time, as his perceptions become cemented, the man won't believe that behind the 20th, 40th, or 100th door he opens, a beach, ocean, coconuts, and bananas will be waiting for him. He had all the opportunities, he just needed to go further, to look, to check, to feel. But he's afraid to open the door, and that's it. So he stays where he is. And soon, all men will be strictly divided by this principle. We live in a society where conformity thrives. If a person has a clear position, they will be condemned for it. The generally accepted view of life is to adapt your reality and consciousness to that of those around you, and then it will be considered normal. If you allow yourself to live and think differently, even if you cause no harm to anyone, you will be judged for it. Just think about what's happening. For example, I have a clear classification of women that I've developed over many years. And I say, these are the women worth being with. They should be cherished. People don't want to hear this. What? She's not worth it? I say, there are women you shouldn't pursue relationships with. It's a dead end. A dead end? Oh, what is he saying? And the question arises, does that mean, in reality, you can build a relationship with everyone? So, what words should I say? Well, say that we're all different, and for every person there's a soulmate. You just have to try hard. And it's difficult, tough, Through gritted teeth, you have to work on relationships, and then everything will work out. Friends, understand this. If you build your understanding of relationships based solely on someone else's opinion, books, or simply because you want to believe it, if you want to avoid confronting pain, if you refuse to see nearly 80% divorce rates, if you choose to ignore it, then one day this very fragile structure you've built will collapse. I don't like talking about scary things, but that's life. You can't lie to yourself any longer. And by the way, as a demonstration of how superficial all these impressions of what's right are, and it's not even about women, I remember sitting on a dating site, and my profile said that women should message me first. A woman messages me asking, "Why should I message first?" I tell her, "Listen, first, you have more free time than I do. Second, if we're talking about busyness, my work is objectively worth more right now. Third, I can sit here until I'm 40, but you need to figure things out by 25 or 30. And how is it that you don't understand that? That's a problem. Fourth, if you're looking for a man who, in your opinion, can become the head of a family and possess certain qualities in his profile, who has value, then he has options. Perhaps you need to do something to get this person instead of waiting for things to happen. Should I go on? You must have your own stance. Stop being shy. Take the path of quick decisions. Enough with enduring, enough with waiting, enough with fantasizing about this reality, enough with building hypotheses and guesses. Trust only your own results. You know exactly as much as you can do, otherwise it will be an endless story. And here's an example. Often when people come back for a follow-up, we might just chat, and a man tells me, "You know, I have a friend. He has family problems. Things are really bad. I recommended your channel to him a few times. He watched it and said, 'Yes, there are some interesting thoughts, but somewhere he disagrees with the truth.' Max, you're too simple. You cut straight to the chase." I don't. In fact, everything is simpler than it seems. When it comes to relationships, achieving effectiveness means starting to live differently. Anyone who has gone through this practical experience will never be the same. It affects all areas of their life. That's why, and this isn't academic knowledge, it's exclusively your personal experience and absolute honesty with yourself. If a man found the channel, listened, and thought, "Well, yes, it seems valuable, but I disagree here," then he went and found a woman, and his ex no longer hurt him. Why bother? Stop for a year, 5 years, then there will be another breakup, and there won't be a second chance. He's already devalued the content. He's already immune to these ideas. Therefore, he will live this way his entire life. And so, the man isn't bothered by the fact that everything in his relationship is very bad. By the way, then she left him for someone else. A classic. But no one is surprised by this. For many of us, it's obvious, and for me too. But he still has his own opinion. Well, maybe she'll appreciate it. Max is overdoing it here. The scariest thing is that we grow up with these glitches. The only way to get rid of them is a large dose of reality. It's only through practice. So stop enduring, go do something with your life.